boy Tyler, and we are using StreamYards today because Skype has just been a pain in the butt lately for me. So this is where we're doing it at. FERC Gang, if you are part of the FERC Gang, please let it be known that you are here as part of the FERC Gang. Guys, today I have a freaking awesome guest. It says Mike and Puppy. How you doing, Mike?
Not doing too bad. How are you?
No, I'm doing good. And you guys will have known Mike. You guys will know Mike if you are familiar with the website bleedingfool.com. If you know the website bleedingcool.com, imagine bleeding cool, but there's no AIDS on that website. What I mean by that is that if you've ever gone to if you've ever been to Bleeding Cool on your phone, you can't read anything because you're hit up with so many pop-up ads and whatnot, and then you go on the website and it's just as bad. So Mike has a bleeding full on him, and he is just, that website is so clean, and I really appreciate the work that you guys do over there.
Well, thank you so much for such a wonderful intro, Tyler. I don't speak, of course, for the site. I just am a contributor there for it, and of course, grateful to have a spot. But there are some really, really talented folks that are there, absolutely, and I'm grateful to have a place here to talk to you tonight.
No, this is gonna be good. We're gonna have a great conversation. Real quick, I want to say hi to those who are in the chat. We got Arnold Lopez in the house saying FERC Gang. Got Drew Down Art saying how's everyone doing. We got my boy Justin Comics Jute Joint saying how's everyone doing. We got Hawaii Ali saying where the FERC Gang at. We're here. Dono the Gamer says it's gone too far. Z Artist says what's up everyone. We have the Huanator and Alan Ellsworth here. The Huanator, guys, is an artist who last year I paid him to do a 4-page story, and I'm going to be working on that later in the coming months. But his artwork has improved so much. So the Huanator, you freaking rock. We got my boy LP Larry in the house now. B Comics saying it's my buddy Mike. Man, I will log in as soon as I get to work. You treat this man right, Tyler. He is a personal, real life friend of mine for over 30 years. No, we are going to treat him. We're going to treat him right. Mike is a good guy. And guys, if you didn't know, this is the day before the Indiegogo launch of Demons Volume 3. Now, I need to know, guys, from you, from the FERC Gang, tomorrow the actual launch date, but should I launch it right now? Will we get some backers if we launch it right now? If we've got the Demons Volume 1, 2, and 3 perk, the Demons Volume 3 perk. We've got all this free artwork right here that you can see. Should we launch this right now? Let me know in the chat. Should we launch this a day early for the FERC Gang who are watching this tonight? Let us know. So let's just get into the nitty gritty. Today we're the big topic that I want to talk about is has fandom gone too far? If you haven't been on Twitter in the last year or two, you've just seen it become an absolute shit show of just just tons of fighting within comics groups, gamers, movies. It just feels like everything that we love as nerds are now. It sounds like we're like all fighting with each other because either we think something has gone something isn't good enough, or we want it to be differently. And I wanted to talk about this topic, and Mike is probably going to be the best person I can talk to this with, because Mike's a writer, I'm a writer, but we also have like a journalism standpoint. So we're really good at trying to, keep our opinion, like be opinionated, but also try to find a neutral ground. So I want to ask this question to you, Mike. And guys, Mike and I have a ton of things to talk about. Mike has a great outline, and if we deviate from it or go for it, who knows? But Mike, has fandom gone too far?
When you look at things case by case, I mean, things obviously, and people are people. They're going to fight. People are going to come to blows over things. It's just the nature of human interactions. I've said this before on other situations that in the Indosphere, it's all alpha type people. They're all independently minded, independently skilled, for the most part, self-taught. And so they're used to getting things done their own ways. And so, of course, people like that are going to butt heads. And so as a community, I've mentioned this on other streams before, that we should try to understand that about each other and try to approach each other just a little bit differently, knowing that about each other. And that's something that sometimes, depending on the scenario, can make for the worst clashes. But if you stand back and look at what that means as a group, as a collective group of strong individuals, it's actually a strength. It's not a weakness. Individual to individual, it might suffer, but as a group, I think it makes us stronger. We just have to recognize that about each other and treat ourselves accordingly.
No, for sure, for sure. And Wendy Gale here has the best answer. She said, well, not the best, it's not an answer, but she says current fandom is really living up to their moniker. They're called fans because they're fanatics. And you know, I've never really been like watched a movie or had anything like really personally like hurt me where I watched something and I went, oh my gosh, I cannot believe they did that. Like a big topic with fandom, like, you know, is the Last Jedi, where people were really disappointed and it really hurt them. And you know, I saw the Last Jedi and I was like, yeah, you know, that sucked. Yeah. And I remember talking with my family and we were like, yeah, it was entertaining. There was like some moments, but ultimately I was just like, that wasn't really anything special, but it didn't like hurt me. I didn't feel like the need to make thousands of videos or to read all these articles and start commentating and being angry, because ultimately I felt like I don't have control over it, so it doesn't matter. But then it made me think about this question, and Mike, maybe you let me know what you think about this question. When people who are in charge of properties such as Star Wars and like Batman, at what point do they need to do fan service, but also be creative and try something new?
Well, I wish I would have put this in the little box I prepared for us, but somebody had put earlier today, and I can't remember who it was, speaking of the sewer that is Twitter, obviously. I wouldn't let my children use it. Most of the time I'm wondering why I use it, but in any case, it's a good vehicle, I guess, if you're using it properly. Somebody said today, entertainment industry are basically people showing up and getting paid to show up, and sometimes there's a lot of pomp and ceremony that's involved in that. It puts a lot of onus on the industry wise. It takes money to stage these things, but basically people are getting paid as celebrity types of people to show up and literally show. It is a show. And so that's what we want. We want to be entertained. I think that socially and politically, and see, as we'll talk about later, I'm involved in a pretty large project for the community, and it's really hard to talk about social and political issues in the social context as far as a community without allowing politics to come into it. And I think that entertainers should entertain. And I think that our society has been constricted in a social way for a little while now, that, like we were saying earlier, that the next decade is going to be more of a maybe a breaking free or of a tearing loose of a constriction or of a restrictive force. And I would like to be on the edge of that, waiting for it to come instead of resisting it, because it's really going to come like as a wave. And I don't think it's going to be like some giant tsunami wave. I just mean it's going to be a lot different than it is now. And that's what we're in store for in the next 10 years.
Real quick, are you clicking a pen or something?
No.
Okay, I hear a clicking. Is that coming from your end?
Let me see if I'll...
Justin's like, somebody's clicking. I can just see Justin just like, someone's clicking. I think we're good now.
We're good?
I'll let you know I'll let you know. You know, it might be something from my end. Who knows?
I'm trying not to type.
You know,
it's hard. I type all day long, so.
You're good. So Wendy Gale says, I consider myself a non-fanatic fan. I have franchises I'm a fan of, but I don't tear each edition to it apart. I either enjoy it or not. It's on its own merit. Then we got Jose Sanchez in the house, and we got Spec Vision, and then we got the Drunken Deity here. It's been a while, Jose. Nice to have you back here. And Dave Chappelle's newest stand-up showed that loud and clear. You know, I think it shows that when you have clearly in society, I think the majority, I think 10% of people are either on the left crazy and 10% are on the right crazy. I think the rest of the 80% of us normal individuals are just trying to have a good time with life. And but all we hear is the 10% on either side, and we're seeing that with both comics and fandom, where there's so much outrage. And I don't think most people are as mad as we think.
I don't think they're mad. I think they're tired.
They're tired. Do you think they're tired of just being let down?
I've used an analogy for a long time, like 1,000 years ago, information being a tap, information being set on a tight drip. You know, we'll say a literacy rate of 10% about 1,000 years ago, and they controlled that information and they made very good use of it. And 80% of us out here didn't have a clue, didn't leave the piece of land that we were born and died on our whole lives. And it probably existed like that for about 1,000 years until we clawed democracy, and real freedom, you know, for ourselves. And so we've built societies now in the West that have those sorts of things. And so I don't, like, if I look here where it says it's not so much as a disillusion in the entire franchise here, tearing things apart. I think that being tired of something and being constricted with information for a very long time and then having it turned on in the internet age is sort of like having the tap on full blast, and having a people that are ignorant through a lack of literacy and information flow at, say, 10% are the ones only getting it, is a dangerous social place for a group of people to be. The effect of that is apathy, because they don't have information to make choices. They don't have information to make decisions. And now we're in an age where we have a tap, we've clawed it out of their hands, and we think we have control of it. But the thing is flying so fast, and the pressure coming out is so immense that you can't snatch the pieces of information that you need to make decisions fast enough. And so the effect is still the same. It's apathy. And people are tired. And I think that's what it is. You know, I don't think it's necessarily tearing things apart. I think it's an irritated apathy.
I'm hearing that tapping again. It's
Does
not
that make
from
any
my
sense?
side. Huh?
I said, does that make any sense?
No. I totally agree. Where, yeah, I think it's true. I think with the day and age that we live in with the internet, I think one thing that we all need to realize is with the internet is this is still a fairly new thing, the internet, and we haven't been really trained on how to live in a world where everyone is so connected. This is still a new thing. It's still, I mean, the fact that you and I are having this conversation right now, Mike, where let's be real, I probably without the internet would not even know that you existed. Your existence, I would not have known that you existed, and we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. We wouldn't have people watching this stream. I think honestly, we're just all trying to figure out what to do with it. And I think, before the internet, we had our biggest sources of entertainment were things like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, comic books. And now that they're becoming bigger and bigger, and now that we have the internet, we're able to voice our opinions. But now if we're unhappy, we're able to exactly say how we feel. And sometimes we shouldn't. I don't know. Sometimes we just don't need to rage. We don't need to outrage. But like you said, it's with the faucet. I think it's just happening too much. We're not able to control it, and we want to control it, but it's not possible to control it at this point.
And you are correct. It is new, and I know that's hard for some people that are perhaps younger than you and I to understand, because it's all they know. And I know they call us boomers, but we're not. We're Generation X, and we're like the bridge between two generations. Your grandfather and my grandfather, their grandfathers scooped up horse crap in the streets with shovels, and now our children are sending private pics to each other at the speed of light over the internet. We're the bridge between two generations, and it's of course a bridge that nobody wants to use. That's how I always put it. Maybe that's why they call us boomers, so they can just, belittle us and ignore us. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think everyone's just trying to find a group. Everyone wants to be part of a group because it creates like a sense of belonging, which is another reason why I think fandom is such a big thing, is because, I'm a Batman fan, and how dare you, say something about me and my group of people. We're Batman lovers. Or, hey, like, how dare Ryan Johnson shit on the Last Jedi? You just ruined the Star Wars fandom that I'm part of. And now I'm collective. Now I'm part of a group. And now if I see someone else is mad, I'm like, well, they're part of my group. I should also be mad because they're affecting my friend who's in my group who's also like Star Wars. And I think I don't know, but that kind of brings us to what you're working on right now, which is the fandom. Is it the Fandom Menace? Is that what you're working on? Oh, I cannot hear you. I think you muted yourself.
Yeah, the Phantom Menace project by Stephen Walton Jr. is a project that I just kind of applied to offer some help.
Yeah.
And, ended up being invited to join the project formally. And so in the industry, like we were saying earlier, it's not necessarily like at Bleeding Fool, none of us are paid for our contributions. I hope people don't think that we do. It's a kind of a love of the community type of enterprise. And almost every single person that's there is there because they want to be. Obviously, it's a contributors type of platform. And so with this particular work, it's more of a community reflection that this person, Stephen Walton Jr., was working on. And so really what I'm just doing is tailoring his words. I guess really it's, I know he'll say that I'm doing more than that, but he's given me so much to work with that it's given me so much to do. I only do my Stan Lee's Soapbox Revisited for Bleeding Fool once a week because I'm so busy with Steven's project. But I mean, we're talking 500,000 words. It's not a comic book material. It's more like it's more like a, not necessarily a novel, but more of a historical, like a bathroom reader type of a trivia kind of a thing where we talk how it came about, this particular fandom menace, like where it came from, what are sort of the social issues that kind of led to the kind of outrage that makes these people band together in these community things like what we were just talking about. And then, of course, an exploration of all the different personalities in that particular community, which is what will be coming up in upcoming volumes. And so there's so many different personalities and so many new people that are coming all the time that it's going to make for very interesting times for volume like 3, 4, and 5, obviously. It's growing every day. And it's a pretty vibrant community. I've participated in Comics Gate and all the other gates, I guess you could say, but I've always really considered myself a Fandom Menace person, more so than anything else, just because sci-fi genre stuff is more my favorite medium, Star Trek and Star Wars in particular. And so I identify a lot with most of those people and most of the grievances in that community as well. So it's fairly easy to help Stephen with his work because I share a lot of.
So when you talk about grievances, and also real quick, I want to say thank you everyone to those who are watching right now. You guys are awesome. And, we have a question on here. Should we launch Demons Volume 3 right now? Let us know in the comments. Because if you say yes, I will literally hit the launch button right now. And maybe we can get some backers tonight. But when you talk about grievances, I'd love to talk about that real quick. I'd love to talk about maybe one of your grievances and then talk about, I guess, let's just ask that. Well, I guess let me just ask this first. So what was one of the grievances that you had that you currently have with Star Wars?
Well, one primary, it's not necessarily Star Wars as in lore, material, presentation, the art. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the way material is marketed. And so, for example, we have a whole lot of people who have opinions, and we live, like we were saying, in a state where when you put yourself in public, you leave yourself open to these kinds of criticisms. And I mean, that's just, I wouldn't say it's the price you pay for being in public, but I'm sorry, but especially when you do it for money and you, like we were saying earlier, you show up and you get paid for that. I mean, I think that the public has a right to be able to scrutinize what it is that's put in front of them, And so the good with the bad comes with that. I mean, we are talking again about people, and we have to be somewhat tolerant of each other. I think that's the things that we've been taught our whole lives that we keep getting preached about, even though it seems we're the ones that lived it, even though we're the ones that have to hear it all the time.
Do you hear that?
You know what that is? That's there's a little plastic tunnel that the cat plays in, and she's in there crinkling around.
Oh, I'm like,
get out of there,
man,
kitty. I hear you now. I can hear you now. 1 sec.
No, you're good. Real quick, while Mike deals with his cat, right here, everyone. That is so funny. That is so funny. While Mike deals with this cat, yeah, with entertainment, people in the chat, answer me this question. What do you guys think? Do you think some like actors like Daisy Ridley, Mark Hamill, and the people in the writers' room, the directors, do you think that because they're making just millions and millions and millions of dollars, that because of this, we as fans who are really there they're only making this money because we are paying them this money. It essentially is like a service. You make the art, I buy it. Do you think then that fans have a right to, to have their input, to have their say on the movie? So if we, hey, I don't like this, the director should, go on some forums like, oh, looks like the fans didn't like this. Let's change this. Do you guys think that? Because, yeah, I think, for example, with my personal comic books, whenever I get a bad review of someone who's purchased my comic, I never go, I never say, you're stupid. How dare you? You're wrong. You didn't get that. What I do is I take the criticism and I write it down. I go, you're absolutely right. You, the reader, trusted me and I failed you in some portion, and I need to regain your trust. And with Demons Volume 1, hopefully Demons Volume 2 was improvement, and hopefully this Demons Volume 3 will be improvement. And then if you just didn't like the Demon series, hopefully I can regain your trust with another comic, and hopefully you can see that I'm listening and that I'm trying to improve. And I think maybe a lot of this anger that's coming from these different fandoms is because these people who are raking in millions of dollars, we keep giving them our trust, and yet it's just sucking. I mean, I came out of The Force Awakens like, yeah, oh, that sucked. And then I went to Last Jedi like, don't worry, they're going to listen to what we want. And then I left being like, they didn't listen to anything. And so now it comes to the point where it's like Rise of the Skywalker. Are they really going to listen, or am I going to leave again feeling like a victim? I don't know. Mike, did I capture what you're talking about?
Well, I mean, I had certain positive thoughts about The Force Awakens as well. I was more interested in talking about to start with, about what you were talking about, criticism, and accepting the scrutiny of the public or whatever.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
In my outline here from earlier, we'll just talk about art and creation for a little while, I guess. Yeah. First, what we'll do. I think this one here is just a sec here. I'll get the date on it to make sure I have the right date.
No, you're good. While you're doing that, the Huanator says, I just think fandom is so angry because most of the people who aren't fans get catered to more than they need to. Well, I like that because I agree with that. Specs Vision says, I feel like movies we can't control unless it's a sequel coming up. We change things from the first one, but I believe we change a TV show if prior episode was trash. I don't know. TV shows are hard though, because they've probably filmed the whole season a year before it even comes out. The drunk deity says the writing was insulting. I absolutely, The Force Awakens. I was like, I don't know about this, but I think with The Last Jedi, they're going to answer all the questions I want answered from The Force Awakens, and they pooped on that. Jose Sanchez says, they'd make it for the fans and not themselves. I think that would ruin any kind of creative medium. People would make these movies, TV shows to cater to the viewers. Yet that is the goal, but it just sucks out of all the fun of making stories. And then Wendy Gale says, most of us have been told as writers that we can't change our stories based on the suggestions by every person who decides to give their input. And then Ichthus says, getting fans' input can be a double-edged sword. At the end of the day, you cannot capture everyone's vision of that certain product. Some are very questionable and forced. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What are your thoughts on all this? And then can I share this? Can I share the screen?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Awesome.
That I absolutely might answer some of the things. Some of the points that were brought up. So I think August 26th of last year, I think it was, I wrote this particular piece here, and it's called Independence Risk versus Reward in Crowdfunding. And this was just sort of actually it had to do with your experience, Tyler, Larry's experience with crowdfunding and different Kickstarter campaigns that you guys, just me as an observer, kind of learning the lessons that I could see that were learned. Mm-hmm. by some of these individuals. And so, for example, there was a partnership in the, I mean, we won't mention any names between what project it was or whatever. And of course, in the article, I didn't. But I'll just read this little part for your listeners, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for
it. These two particular people had a professional breakdown, is what happened. So a project, before it even got off the ground, it had to be terminated, basically.
Okay, I think I know who you're talking about.
So they dissolved their working relationship. The deposits were returned. Both made public statements to support the other. And this is how things should be. There were, of course, hurt feelings and perhaps some anger and resentments, but you would not know it, at least not publicly. Both of these individuals had enough respect for themselves, for each other, and for their fans to make sure that a project that hit deadlock did not spill over into the medium at large. And I see these two people as great examples of professionalism and mutual support and understanding. We need to see much more of this sort of maturity and devotion to each other in the medium that we all love. If we expect the industry of professionals and the general public to take a new and innovative idea creation and our method seriously, then we have to adopt a position of humility, support, and acceptance of each other as creators. More importantly than all of this, we have to learn the difference between criticism and personal attack. Mm-hmm. These two things have become horribly confused nowadays by those incapable of bearing real criticism. They equate such feedback as an attack on their person or their identity. This unfortunately seems to be contagious to a degree.
Can I interrupt you real quick?
Sure.
That sentence, that last sentence that you just said, it is so true. I got a lot of crap for a video that I did last week where it was I redrew a professional comic book cover. And I said straight out in the video that I didn't think I did a good job redrawing it, that the artist was still better. But what people were like, how dare you? How dare you like criticize this person? Like this is a woman, this is a comic creator. Like you basically like you're criticizing her entire well-being. And I'm saying like, no, listen, I like this person. I like this creator as a person. I think they have tons of awesome talent. I think they can produce amazing things. All I'm doing is criticizing this one particular piece of artwork that they're doing. And if anything, I'm not saying I think it sucks and I want them to go away. I'm saying that I think it could be better and I want them to be better so that they can become better as an artist. But man, people are not good at taking criticism. Like I said, I've gotten several bad reviews off my comic books, and I just go, you know what, you're absolutely right. I need to fix some of these things, and sometimes they're unwarranted. If they just go, that sucked, I'll be like, okay, well, do you have any reason why? And if they can't give me a reason why, it's not a valid criticism. But if they can legit give me a criticism, like, oh, I wish it'd been done this, and sometimes there's preference and there's just style. And if you were preferred it to be this way, I can't help you with that. But if you can say, hey, like, you missed out on this aspect where your writing was a little empty on this part, that's valid criticism. I can be like, okay, I need to learn from this and grow. And we're not getting that in professional industry.
No, I think that, again, it's not only taken, because remember what we were saying earlier about entertainers should just be entertaining, but I mean, that also has to be, I mean, I don't mean that unqualitatively either. I mean, you and I are open to criticism as well. I put myself on a different kind of platform than you do, of course, but I mean, we're out there. And so, I mean, you get some bad things. I get some bad things. Anybody that does that sort of thing can, to some degree or another, understand a little bit of that. But see, that also goes both ways. Just because you have the right to criticize that public figure or that piece of art or whatever it is we're talking about, it doesn't mean that creative person has to take it, listen, or even respond. And I mean, those, like you were just saying, the other part of that is, for me, I can get 1 million hearts in my notifications every single day, and the one nasty gram in the request box that I get is going to put me down. And we don't know who that's going to be or why that's going to be or where that necessarily comes from in us, but we can also choose to open that or not, or just delete it, right?
No, for sure. In fact, I was doing a stream last week, and they had like one of the videos had like 20 likes, and then I was like, yeah, we were talking. Also, I looked and someone did a thumbs down, and I was just like, oh, who thumbs downed it? Like, which one of you thumbs downed it? But it's true. We sometimes look at the negative more than the positive, because you're right. You go on Twitter, you see tons of hearts, but you see that one person who's just like, and you go, okay. Let's really concentrate with them. And you have to honestly decide, like, how you handle this. And I think that a lot of people are struggling with how they handle this. For example, 2 weeks ago, I was scrolling through my Facebook and I saw a YouTube thumbnail of something that was totally irrelevant to comics or anything. But then in the title and the description, it says, and then I reviewed Demons Volume 1 and 2. And I was like, wait, I have a comic called Demons Volume 1 and 2. But what is this weird thumbnail going? So I clicked on the video and I watched the first 10 minutes of this video. I'm like, where is this demons part? And all of a sudden they reviewed my comic and I'm like, okay. And they showed out some pros, but then they gave me some cons, and man, did it hurt. The cons really hurt my feelings. And I had two ways I could have gone about it. I could have gone with the, hey, listen, like dick face, like you just don't know art. But instead I had a really great conversation with this person, and he was like, and they were like, you know what? I get it. Like, I get it. You know, you're learning. And I took his criticisms to heart, and we had a nice conversation. And he was like, hey, let me know when Demons Volume 3 launches. I want to back it. Because not only are you a great and a humble creator, but I want to see if you improved. And, you know, I hope that, and if I let him down again, you know, you know, maybe I have to be like, hey, listen, like I tried, I'm still learning. What other tips can you give me? We're all just here. We just all need to start being a little more humble and not taking these attacks as our person, or like you said, our identity, but, you know, as just criticism of art.
There is another side of that, because like we wanted to talk about fandom and that.
Yes.
And there is an ugly side of that. And I wanted to touch on that part there, because I do have something to screen share that will relate just to that one particular ugly part. But as far as people, like what you were saying about how we deal with those things, and like we were saying, you can mute, you can block, you can change the channel, you can turn it off, you can walk away from social media for a little while, which is a good idea, by the way. Taking a break every once in a while and getting a decompression, like it really is. I did a lot of, I know it's starting to be fall here, but I've been doing a lot of gardening work outside just to get the hell out of here, right? Because I'm on the keyboard all day, so I have to get out. But I just wanted to finish this last little part in the article, because there is, it's maybe not a solution, but it's just my thoughts on it. And like I said, it's funny that I talk about this last year, and then I watch people go through, you know, real life stuff for me and other people, and then also professionally, and I'm like, geez, didn't you read that from last year? Because you wouldn't have maybe felt the same way. But anyways, I'll share it now, and then maybe it'll help some other people. And hey, Brad, by the way, I just seen you come in. I'll take your thumbs down too, brother. I need a couple myself.
Oh, Brad, thumbs down my video. No, I'm not going to your event that you invited me.
Of course he did.
Brad.
He'll bring his friend. He'll bring his friend.
Brad's a good guy.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyways, this inability to be able to bear criticism is contagious. So this is very disingenuous at the very least. It's willful ignorance at the worst. And those that have a hard time with this sort of thing must not confuse the two. It's not an attack to criticize something that's put in the public sphere. It can sometimes feel so terrible to have something that we have invested so much time, energy, and emotion be subjected to the opinions of others. But everyone must learn how to process and incorporate such negative commentary in order to evolve their art and each other's experiences with it. Why are we doing what we're doing in public if we cannot accept or tolerate the huge variety of interests and opinions that exist if we can't handle it? We've got to be honest here, right? Nothing's ever been learned from a good mistake, and I don't think there's any such thing. Pain is how we learn what not to do. Pain or stress is how we reason our ways into growth, if only we can allow ourselves to move forward, instead of letting it dominate us and force us into a sort of stagnation on something that should be organic and moving. Those who consume the medium and those who are involved in creation are very much interested in growth and permutation. They're also the ones who are placed to observe and comment on the quality or the lack of it. They really don't want to be part of a dying art. They want to see it succeed. So pushing forward through adversity is what makes most of us shine and makes us better. It gives us insight. It provides meaning and purpose to the things that we feel are important. So sharing and criticism are essential here. So embrace it. It'll only serve you well. And, you know, comics are loud books, so let them be loud, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's easy to fall prey to the negative. It takes no effort whatsoever to get discouraged or depressed about these sorts of things. Remember, you just have to shut off, and it's easy, right? We've all been hooked into it at one point or another, but that's not the whole story, and we shouldn't allow ourselves to become jaded or bitter. That's the path of least resistance, and we must have more faith in ourselves and in each other than that. Putting ourselves out through art is a very scary thing. It is for me. Trusting those we don't truly know is nerve-wracking sometimes. And if we treat each other with dignity and respect, and if we're truly open and honest with ourselves and able to communicate effectively about our limitations, some amazing things will be allowed to come to the fore. So don't be discouraged and don't lose hope. Criticize, share ideas and disappointments. We must continue to support each other in our endeavors in this way. Accept it. These are the great examples to draw from. We only need to look for them. Today's failures need not to be tomorrow's flame wars. Criticism or temporary setbacks and even failures are not valid reasons to give up and allow those pitfalls to define us. Criticism and honesty are very powerful tools of growth if we can only allow ourselves the opportunity to use them and absorb them. And just like I'll just say the last line, the medium deserves it, the artist, the writers, and most importantly, the readers deserve it, right?
No, it's so true. I think, well, one creator that that I think about from time to time is I'm not going to say their name, but they asked me, they said, "Hey Tyler, will you give me a review on your comic?" And I said, "Okay, I typically don't like doing reviews. I have a review scale that I wrote for myself so I can keep myself non-biased, so that it's an old video on the channel, but I literally said I hate this comic so much, but I will give it a 9 out of 10. It was an awful. So I read this. I said, "Are you sure you want me to give you an honest review?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "Take it apart if you needed." So I read the comic, and then I did a live stream on it where I gave my review, and I ripped it to shreds, and I talked about how it needed to be improved. And this particular writer was really upset, was super upset. And I wasn't trying to bash the comic as if like this is terrible, get lost, like leave the medium. It was man, like the story has so much potential. These are where I want you to improve on for the second issue, and then the third and the fourth, and maybe cut down on some things that were going wrong, because I think you might want to do all the things, do more of the bad things. You need to do less of them and do more of the good things. And this creator totally just got angry, and it was like a 3-day Facebook rant, and they kept like subliminally, yeah, whatever that word, like the writing statuses, and I knew it was about me, and I just felt so bad. And we were talking, and I have to defend myself. Finally, they just like, I was like, "Hey, listen, like you wanted the review," and they're like, "Well, I'm out," and they left comics. They're out, like they're done. And they said, "I'm not making another comic." Because my first ever comic was bad, and I tried reaching out to them like, "Hey, listen, like if this was your very first comic, like I hope you didn't think that it was going to be like a Chris Claremont comic." This, and he just couldn't take the criticism he just could not take the criticism, because I essentially like attacked his whole life and his family and his dog.
It sometimes feel like that.
And it's sad. I feel bad.
Is this somebody that we might mutually know, or just?
No, I don't think so. He's in a couple.
Since, because that's just a really poor way to look at things, I guess. I mean, the first article that I put up wasn't even for Bleeding Fool, the first published article that I had, and believe me, well, I don't know. Brad's a good one. That he's a straight up shooter. He won't pull any punches. It's everything in my power to want to go in and dissect that article and fix it the way it should be, but just to leave it alone. Like, you know what I mean? Like the artist that just has to make the last brushstroke and they just won't put it away. Like once it's in the folder, it should stay in the folder, right?
Exactly. There's only so much you can do to keep polishing and polishing and polishing. With Demons, when I've said the story 1,000 times on this channel, I'm going to say it again. I paid 5 artists to there were a couple plot holes that I knew I needed to fill, and so I was like, I know, I'll do some backup stories. I paid 5 artists, I gave them all my money, and then I didn't hear back from any of those 5 artists, and they went away. And so when people come up to me and are like, "Man, Tyler, like there's some plot holes in this," I'm like, believe me, I know. So and so in Indonesia has like a couple $100 of my money. And I wanted to fill them. I wanted to improve. I personally saw them, and now people are like, "Well, will they be answered in volume 3?" And I'm like, guys, like I finished Travis finished the artwork like a year ago on volume 3. Like what's done is done. Like as much as I want as much as I would wish I could go travel to each one of those artists and be like, where's my artwork? It's just I can't fill in those mistakes, and I made those mistakes two and a half years ago, and I could have just said, nah, I'm just gonna throw away Demons. I'm never gonna do it, but I've worked really hard to put out two like this. It's over 400. It's over like 300 pages. I'm not just gonna let it throw away because 5 artists stole like a couple $100 of my money. I'm gonna put this work out and I say, hey, this is the best that I got right now. This is me at my best. And if you have a problem with it, hopefully the next thing that I want that you see me at is my best, and the next one's my best. And I felt like
those plot holes are useful for side stories anyway. You'd be like, nah, I intended on fixing those. You see?
yeah, exactly. And then those 5 artists, ruined my side stories.
They don't know what you have planned.
Yeah, it was terrible. Jose Sanchez says you always ask for the art first, man. Yeah, I was very trusting because Travis Martinez, the artist for Demons, he was I paid him. He sent me the art, and it was never late. And so I was like, oh, everyone must be this good. Like,
always put your money on the pencils first. That's what I say.
Yeah, it's true. But guys, this is the finale of Demons. Demons Volume 3 is the finale of this until maybe I ever decide to come back to it. Here's the launch page, guys. Should I launch this? Just let me know in the comments. But it is what it is, and I think a hard part with fandom is that I think I'm going to go into the Rise of the Skywalker with my last bit of hope that if this isn't good, I'm out.
Well, you're going to go without me, brother.
But what about things like The Mandalorian? Do you look at The Mandalorian and go, oh, this looks good?
The only reason I have any faith in that whatsoever is because Filoni is there. And
gotcha.
Filoni, as far as I know, and maybe some of my fellow Fandom Menace people are watching tonight, and as we all know, he's the only one that had a real invite to the Skywalker Ranch. I mean, really. So, if he's got the real invite, then there must be something. Well, everybody's always loved Filoni stuff anyway. So I have faith that he can do something well with it because that's what he likes to do with it. And so as long as he's given a hand to be able to do it, I can't see why it won't. But of course, we're going to have to wait and see.
Yeah. But yeah, and I think with the whole wait and see, it's just, am I going to get hurt though? And I do agree with the whole I do agree with fandom and people saying, well, this is toxic. I go, well, you get let down enough. You give up. And with the Netflix, with a Netflix show, it's easy. You get let down, you go to the next Netflix show. For Star Wars, or any of these big properties, you're going to the movie theater, you're forking out, like, if you take your family, you're forking out a lot of money to walk out feeling like a victim, like you got eye raped. Yeah, I can see where you go, okay, maybe this next one will be better, and I sucked, and you go, okay, maybe the next one, and at some point you just can't give it any more chances, and then people go, well, then you see an article, why are Star Wars fans not going to see Star Wars anymore? Is it because they're racist? And it's just like, no, it's because this sucks.
Well, for most of the people my age, it's because we just spent the $4 billion that they paid George with to buy that property is what we just spent over 30 years. And now we're getting told that we're a bunch of man babies, mouth breathing, neck bearded, sexist, racist, insert tier. Run the old fans away and bring in new ones. What fans? What fans are going to have the disposable income of the 80s whose parents, are made to feel through the media like terrible parents to blow all that money on all that merchandise again? You guys are going to recreate that somehow, Disney? How's that going to happen? How are you going to do that? We all know what happened, so it's not going to happen again. Like that's lightning in a bottle. That's why George was the lucky one.
It's true, and well, let's talk about real quick you probably know a lot more about it than I do. Well, didn't George have a bunch of really shitty ideas that he was going to put into Star Wars, and then he had to take a crap ton of criticism from people on set, like, don't do that, and then he listened.
you and I have a bunch of shitty ideas too. You know what I mean? Yes, of course.
But
Yes, of
I have
course.
tons.
Yes, of course he has shitty ideas. I'm sure they're absolutely full, just like you and I are probably. It's only the occasional good one that makes it out. I'm sure it's a miracle.
But
You know,
he listened to them, and because of it, he was able to make something really great.
I think it's because he didn't listen to them.
Okay.
Everybody told him he couldn't. Everybody told him they wouldn't. And George said, no, 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 no. I want to make this movie. You know, Mark was on the set going like, yeah, but George, you know, can't we talk about this for, you know, this scene is coming. No, no, we'll talk about it later. Let's just hurry up. We got the money. Let's get it done right now before they change their minds, you know. Just hurry up and get us out of here, you know.
So at some point, do you think then that, okay, so then what you're saying now, though, is that sometimes you get criticism and sometimes it's worth it as an art form to take the risk, to go big or go home?
I think that if you believe in the power and the solidity of your ideas, that in your way, you can't necessarily fail. And like I said, if it's an overall bad idea, society will tell you. I'm just simply saying you can still believe in everything you're doing and still fail. Everybody has to be prepared for failure of great ideas because they fail every day. Like even the great ones fail every day. So failure is the biggest part of the whole thing. And so I don't think people should be as afraid of it as they are.
So when you think of so do you think though that I think I agree with you because there's so many different creators, so many creators I see where they're so afraid of failure that they literally take every criticism and they go, should I do this? Should I do that? Should I do this? And at some point they lose the form of artwork. And then, you know, there goes their original work.
Well, so, they're certainly not enjoying their craft.
And they're definitely not enjoying their craft. So I'll ask you this as someone who's a big Star Wars fan, with Rian Johnson doing The Last Jedi, then what was it that makes people angry? Because he said, I try to do something different.
I can reflect a whole bunch of those things in upcoming volumes of the Fandom Menace of various people's opinions. Of course, my particular opinion is irreverence. Irreverence. And I wrote a article about fandom a couple of years ago. I won't go through that one, but in there I explore two different possibilities of types of haters that exist nowadays. And we were talking a little bit about the, the ugly side or whatever. We can maybe start getting into that a little bit, I suppose.
Yeah.
I see two types of haters or like trolley kinds of people. And there's people that are old purists who believe in the myth and the legend and the lore, and the purity of the idea has become it's not just a matter of being public record. It's not just a matter anymore. Like when you've touched popular consciousness and you've shaped the culture that you're immersed in, I mean, it's not necessarily an intellectual property anymore. And Star Wars has touched so much life in that way. So I can imagine a scene from Rian Johnson where I can totally misunderstand what he's trying to bring across when I see it on the screen, but then I get a DVD and I can hear him cackling in the background while he's making take after take after take of basically a humiliation of a world-class actor, and he's cackling like a little teenage valley girl. And to me, I can see the looks on the crew members' faces, and they don't seem very impressed with the situation. Like he's the only person laughing, and I'm not saying that I was automatically under that impression when I saw the movie, because I walked out as soon as Luke threw his lightsaber.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like I was done, and that was it for me. I had a 9-year-old boy there, and of course Larry Higgins was with me, and Tom King, you might know Tom. So when I walked out, I mean, there was somebody there with my boy, but I was not in that theater. I went out and told the manager I want my effing money back.
Wow.
Right there,
I think, but it's true what you said though. It was reverence. It's knowing, okay, when you have a new property, I think you can go big or go home. When you have something that's revered by millions of people, and you're given the director role, you go, okay, how can I respect what has been done? And I'm glad that that's what you said was reverence, because it was just a shit show. I mean, Justin has the perfect. He says you had a chance to have the original cast together. That scene alone would have, if it would have happened, would have calmed and made more old fans than okay with passing the torch. It would have felt like it wouldn't have felt like an FU to old fans. I mean, the moment Han, for me, if you haven't seen it, this is your fault. The moment they killed Han Solo, I wasn't saddened and like, oh my gosh, Han Solo died. I was like, oh my gosh, Han Solo will never be in a scene with Luke and Leia.
Huh?
And that's what I was sad about, because I was like, there goes those movies. There goes the relationship that they had. It's over.
And I mean, I can see, for me, like, I have a whole bunch of different perspectives, like the what ifs, you know. For me, I mean, we can talk about Filoni for a second. Look at Clone Wars. Why is Clone Wars so popular? Like, let's forget about everything else, Disney, everything. Like, just forget about all of it. Clone Wars is a story of a little girl coming of age, and it's not of anything else. And I know that to square it down into a skeleton of a story there is one thing, but you know, that's kind of what we do. And that's what it is. It's a story of a young girl coming of age, and that's what it should be. Why does that resonate with so many people, including young boys? Why? Because that's a common theme, coming of age, and that's why it resonates. Did Filoni come up with that story? Yes, he did. Did he work within the boundaries of a mythology and of a lore that makes that spectacular? Absolutely. And that's why people responded to it. So I can bring Filoni back into it again. He stayed in the lines. He showed a proper reverence for the material. And even though he had something new, even though he had something totally unique and something that fans hadn't seen before, because that's what they're trying to say, that fans don't want new things. That's bullshit.
No, it really is.
Bullshit. We don't want a Kenobi movie, not because we don't want a Kenobi movie. You're damn right we want a Kenobi movie. We don't want that Kenobi movie.
No, exactly. I totally agree with you. Yeah, it just, you know, and I think that's why a lot of people got angry with like movies like Batman vs Superman. They felt like that Zack Snyder shit on Batman. You know, he was murdering people. I mean, for me personally, I'm a huge Batman fan. I actually really liked it, and I'm probably the only person who liked Batman vs Superman. But I tried watching it with my wife, and she was like, "Is this movie done yet?" And I went, "Ooh, you should never have to say that during a Batman movie." It's yeah, you should never. So that was bad. And then, you know, during The Last Jedi, my brother and I were looking at our phones, like, how much longer do you think this movie is, dude? You should never have that moment either. It's really bad. Real quick, guys. Flip. I'm still trying to learn how to use this thing. Where'd you go? There you go. Hey guys, Demons Volume 3, I launched it. It was just like, and I hit the launch button. Here's the link in the chat if you want to go check it out. Brad Ashworth, Pencil for Life, my boy. He's the first contributor to the campaign and really means a lot to me. This is Demons Volume 3 is this is it. You can get volumes 1, 2, and 3 here. Typically, I sell them for $30 to $40 each, but for you guys, Indiegogo, it's $75 for all 3. Typically, anywhere from $90 to $100 for all 3. Demons Volume 3 PDF, $10 for all 3 digital. You can get them for $22, $28 for the physical book, $100 for a commission, and then $150 for all 3 plus a commission. Go check out the artwork. I've been working on this for like the last 4 years, and this is the end of something that I've been working on for a while. Also, right here, you can download the first 20 pages for free. I'd like to offer that to you if you're new to the Demons universe and you don't know if you should do it. Read the first 20 pages for free, and if you want to know more, you can back it. If not, that's okay. And then if you want to even see more of it, you can click here for a free preview of Volume 2. And then after that, Demons Volume 3, it's up to you. So go check that out. Link is in the chat. Now let's get back to our regularly scheduled show. We're having a good time.
And once all that's all finished up and that chapter of Tyler's life is finished, I will assemble it under Rohig Press and we will re-release it as an omnibus edition next year. So we'll talk about that.
Yeah, and that will be a very thick book. That'll be super thick book.
It'd be nice to see the shelf though, all nicely glossy. Wouldn't it be nice?
Yeah, no, that'd be freaking awesome. We have Super D2 saying, nice, a Draw and Talk live stream. Welcome, Super D2, to a Draw and Talk fam, Fert gang. I think this is the first time I've seen you here. Really glad to have you. Hope to see you more. See you more often. We also have Jose Sanchez saying BVS was missing a Batman movie before. I totally agree. The WB was really just, they were thinking only about the money, and I hate that corporations are just only thinking about the money and not about the fans and the art. They just want to get that Justice League movie out, and you're right. Batman needed a movie by itself, so we could at least understand this Batman. So yeah. And then Jose says 110%. So Mike, I'd love to know more about this fandom project that you're working on. How long is this going to take you? You guys are talking about volumes, and is it a book? Is it a YouTube series? What is it? Explain to the viewers.
Actually, I think just one sec. So,
and then Super D says, I've been watching a lot of your videos. It's wonderful. Just call me D. D, thanks for coming to the stream.
So it's about, I know this is not the best example.
No, you're good.
Darwin Awards. It'll be 5.5 by 7.5 inches. Mm-hmm. This one here is about 220 pages. And what we're gonna be doing is about 206, maybe 208 pages, because the material so far, I'm still on one chapter where I still have to edit one part of one chapter, but it's going to end up around maybe 198 pages, and I want about 12 pages of extra inserts for, thank yous and mentions and all that sort of thing. But I'm shooting for something like, the small Darwin, like a bathroom type of book where a chapter is 10,000 words, which is 15-20 minutes. Perfect bathroom book, right? About about 50, 60 words a paragraph, 5-6 paragraphs a page. Nobody's going to fall asleep reading it. It's not a heavy read. 40 to 55,000 words per volume, or per volume. And because of the amount of material that Steven's already got compiled, I had to split it into, first it was 4, but with episode 9 coming, we're going to be inserting a bunch of new material. And so I had to make another volume. And so let's just say January and February should be interesting if everything goes according to plan. So this is so what I still think is amazing about this book that you're making is that, and this is something that just would not be able to happen unless we lived in this day and age where personalities, this fandom menace, it's a group of creators, of streamers, writers, bloggers, video content creators who are expressing their opinions, and people see them as respected. Their opinions are like, whatever this guy is saying, he's part of the fandom menace. He's the go-to person on Star Wars. And it's nuts that we have this, and people love this. People love this. And I think, one thing that's great about living in the day and age that we live to is a sense of community. And that that what your work is bridging this community together. Well, that's what I hope it does for everybody, because remember, I'm just like you, I'm just like one little kind of a little part in that indie. I mean, I was lucky to get pulled in to try to help describe it, of course, but really it's reflection of, like you were saying, the videographers and the YouTube personalities and the figurehead people and the semi-pro people and the amateur people, the fans, the commentators, everybody, and they're making new industries together every single day. The collaborations are everywhere. It's amazing.
And it's also something, it's respecting the fans. It's your way of, you guys are respecting the fans more than I think the Star Wars creators. I think they say, okay, so how can we,
what is it? Stephen Waynard, I believe it is. He created it's sort of like a tableau of like a zillion different Fandom Menace faces. And it has everybody. And it says, the Fandom Menace more diverse than the movies.
Yeah. And it's so true though. It's so true.
I mean, the women in the movement, like I was talking with Steven the other night, like, why don't we, we were talking, why don't we have one volume where we just say to the women of the Fandom Menace, why don't you guys take this and tell the story? Because the crap that these ladies have to put up with is outrageous. And I mean, I'm not going to stand here and white knight for these ladies, because believe me, they're, when you come up behind a horse and you startle them the wrong way and they give you a kick in the face, that's what these ladies are like. I don't have to come running to the rescue for these ladies, but it's just really obnoxious to see the amount of crap that they have to field every day. Like it's really brutal. Like I have one sitting here in the box, you know. I mean, I'm not going to put it up, but I'll just read it. The woman addresses one of the leading FANDOM personalities that is a pretty strong woman in our movement. Listen, you stupid little piece of shit. How the heck can you knock Hasbro for that? Blah, blah, blah. Come on, you're a girl. I would be buzzing if I was you. Just because you HV jumped on the stupid Jeremy train of hate, blah, blah, blah. I'm really sorry, but the only people that I see hating, like, that's hateful. You stupid little shit.
And is that a woman yelling at another woman?
No, that's a man yelling at a woman.
That's a man yelling at a woman.
Yeah, that's a man yelling at a woman. And this particular fellow was after Mara. This is Mara Jade, and I hope she doesn't mind.
Oh, gotcha.
Me bringing it up that responds to a lot of this stuff, because in this particular one, Mara Jade took a whole lot in the last 3 or 4 days, but in this particular one, it's that Star Wars Girl 77, and she has to field this along with Jessie Miles. Like all of the girls in our movement have to put up with a tremendous amount of abuse, not just from men that, you know, men can be crude all on their own ways, but most brutally often by other women. It's very strange.
Well, it's interesting how, you know, women are, you know, I don't know, people. I mean, when you have women in this fandom who are like, you know, man, I just love Star Wars and I share my opinion because they don't line up with the other men and women who are supposed to be supposedly the defenders of the women, you find out that the defenders of women are the ones who are attacking most of these women. And I mean, that comment that you just read is absolutely terrible.
There's another one from the other day that I won't get into, but it's this fella literally stands up with a samurai katana, and he's doing his like B movie class posing and saying, you know, basically, I'll challenge you to a duel on a horse, on a motorcycle, on a whatever, standing there in this threatening,
jeez, you know, Louise,
weird, you know, for lack of a better term, weird cosplayers, you know, threatening pose. And you're just, the guy's like going to slice his nose off, it looks like, you know, like, come on. And it's hard. You know, the guy is deadly serious. He is angry. But you're just looking at him going like, oh my, it's like a celebration of mediocrity and mental illness sometimes.
I think that right there, that's when fandom can get too far. Real quick, guys, we have 2 backers of Demons Volume 3. I want to thank Brad Ashworth, who was the first backer, and then our second backer was Drew Down Art. Thanks so much, Drew Down Art. He says, I really enjoy your content here on YouTube, and I want to support your work. Keep up the great work. The link for the Demons Volume 3 is in the description, in the chat. This is the best time to get onto Demons, and also just you know, that comment that Drew Down said, thanks everyone who watches this content. Thanks for listening to Mike and I just talk. I mean, for all we know, we're the most boring people in the world. You don't have to come in and talk, you know, listen to us at, you know, on a Sunday night, but we really appreciate it. And I think we're talking about something important. Allison McGlone says, I definitely came in at the wrong time. No, Allison, you came in at the right time, because we're talking about how people just need to respect other people's opinions. And
absolutely.
And honestly, the hate that hateful comment that woman got is astonishing. Like, I say this to my wife, but I pray to God every night, and I don't think God will do it, because in Corinthians he says, not to get all religious, everyone, but in Corinthians it says that God will never give you a trial that is too hard for you. And I swear, if I ever get a daughter, and if I ever find out that anyone talked to my daughter like the comment that you did, I will go into their home with a crowbar and I will beat the crap out of them. And I won't even care. Take me to jail. I don't care. You don't talk to a woman like that. You don't talk to my daughter like that. You don't talk to anyone like that. Why? We are humans. Why are we treating each other like crap? Also, we're nerds. We're supposed to have a good time. We're like everyone's jealous escapism. My friends were so jealous, like, man, Tyler, you can just go read comics and draw and you just have a good time. And I'm stressed out about freaking trying to get on the football team and be popular. I'm like, yeah, well, you know, just trying to have a good time.
Throw that screenshot up there, Tyler. Throw that one up. That's from one of my favorite people in our community.
Jeez.
And everybody must know Jesse. You know, like, this is the kind of stuff that some of the ladies in our community have to put up with. And I don't understand how these people can be defenders of women's rights when they talk to some of the strongest, most outspoken and opinionated women. Like Jessie disagrees with everybody on just about everything. I mean, it says right in her profile, she's a professional yeller. I mean, come on. So I don't know. It's brutal. And look, all of us take a lot of hate being in the public sphere. Fine. But these ladies take an awful, awful, awful more than most do. And it's outrageous. And
you know, I saw at a con once that there was a bunch of Star Wars fans, and they were talking about, you know, they want to do the 501st and whatnot, and there was a group of like you know, teenage girls, and they were dressed up as Jedis, and these three dudes were just like, oh look, there goes Star Wars going over to the girls, and I literally was this close to clapping one of them in the face, my friend too, because I was like, are you kidding me? That you feel like this is just a men's sphere? Like,
Yeah.
we're here because we all love comics and nerd stuff, and like, why do you have a problem? Why do you have a problem with this?
Some of the members in the community on Tuesday started to put, you know, what do you want to see most? You know, like an Ahsoka Tano standalone movie, a Kenobi, a Mara Jade. Like what would you like to see? A Boba Fett, maybe a young Boba Fett story. Like, what do you want to see? And it was between Mara Jade and Ahsoka Tano. Of course it is. By everybody. You know what I mean?
Those would be great movies.
Wouldn't they, though? You know what I mean? And it's not because they're women, and it's not in spite of the fact that they're women. It's because those characters were written in the lines, like we were saying, but they're also real characters that allow you to immerse yourself in the story. And they make it believable, and they draw you in, and that's the escape in sci-fi that is the point of it. You know, so
yeah, we're forgetting that this is escapism.
Yeah, of course. We care if they're women. I mean, maybe we do care if they're women. Maybe for some people that is part of it. I don't know, but that they're just wonderful characters. I of course you love them. Of course you do.
Well, someone once, and I saw a tweet, and they were like, Ahsoka is such a Mary Sue, like she didn't deserve her powers and whatnot. And I was like, are you kidding me? Ahsoka trained her? She was trained by Anakin. And she has gone through so much crap with Anakin. She's even fought him as Darth Vader. She's a mature Jedi.
She's the only Jedi that we've been able to see from proper training from beginning to end. She's the only Jedi that we've been able to see that way. That's the untold story. Yes, we would like to hear more, please.
Yeah.
You know, like that. That's her, of course. You know.
Yeah, guys. Ultimately, I mean, fandom. I mean, it just needs to chillax. Mm-hmm. We really need to chillax and come to the understanding that we all love these things. All of these things really mean a lot to us, and I think that, you know, you know what you said while we were off camera is that the next 10 years is probably going to be really interesting in terms of fandom. And, you know, is the mainstream going to continue doing what they're doing, or and if so, does that mean it's going to be the rise of more indie projects? I can only imagine what would have happened if the copyright of Star Wars had gone back into the public domain when it should have, without the government stepping in and changing all the copyright laws. But can you just imagine all the Star Wars content, every content? Like right now I could be drawing Batman and I'd be being like, hey, this is my Batman take, and everyone can do it. I think everyone would just have a jolly good time.
if we had that kind of public record availability, I think that you'd find out really quick whose interpretations are valuable and whose aren't.
Exactly. And you would have some guys, you'd have the Fandom Menace making their own version, and people like, you know what? This is the version.
They already have. Oh, they already have.
Oh. That's awesome.
Excuse me. No, I wasn't supposed to do that on camera. Sorry, Tyler. Jeez.
No, you're good. You're good.
Sorry, man.
No, you're good. Real quick, we also just got another backer. Thank you so much, Dave Shernick. I think that's the Huinator. Thank you so much, the Huinator. Allison says, I also don't think people understand what a Mary Sue actually is. I also agree. I agree with you, Allison. I honestly just think that it's a type of female character who is depicted as unrealistically lacking in flaws or weaknesses. And I think I think some people don't understand. I also agree that people don't understand what a Mary Sue is. And I think sometimes we just throw in the terms Mary Sue just to say Mary Sue, like, oh, um, gosh, dang it, Ahsoka's a Mary Sue. It's like, do you even know what that word means? Like, do you do you understand? No, it's nuts. So with what you're doing though, so with what you're doing at Bleeding Fool, maybe we can end the show with just like the next 10-20 minutes talking about this. What are you most excited about in the comic book scene? What are you seeing that are helping people rise, and what are you seeing that are making people fall? Because a lot of the people who are watching here are creators. What they, and you see everything as very objective, with your journalism mindset. What are you seeing that are helping creators, and what are you seeing that's just plummeting them to the fact that they're just no more anymore with both their personalities and also their comic book creations?
Well, like we were already talking about, take criticism. You should be paying more attention to your criticism than you are to your compliments, because you have to ask yourself what motivation those have to continuously compliment you instead of giving you something valid for you to grow from. So that's number one. Take your criticism if you can. Number two, stop airing your like, this is really starting to piss me off. Excuse my language. It's been pissing me off for a long time. Stop airing your professional problems and your personal disagreements when you start to have followings in the community in front of the community. These spaces here, like tonight, me and Tyler talked for 15 or 20 minutes before we came on. And for all you know, me and Tyler hate each other's guts. Because whatever we had to say before we came out here on Tyler's show, we had to say 15 or 20 minutes before this. And his opinions and my opinions in that space are private, and that's the way they should be.
Exactly.
And so people, first of all, need to smarten up and grow up, because we criticize a lot of industry because of their juvenile behavior, and we can't be hypocrites. And I don't like being a member of a community where people are hypocrites.
That's true.
Part of that. So get those personal problems and those professional problems out of the view of the community. It's not because we're trying to hide them. It's not because we're trying to protect people. It's not because of anything like that. It's because it's destructive to the community as a whole. Like somebody said the other day, I believe it was Red Gaze, and thank you for that. We have enough enemies from industry outside of the gates that are waiting for all of us to fail. Why are we chewing on each other? That's stupid, and it shouldn't be happening as much as it is. So it needs to stop, because it's hurtful. And of course, the most important one is reach out to each other and collaborate with each other, because the only way things grow is together. As Tyler will tell you, as someone who's been doing this for a long time, and Larry, who has asked me to speak about him, so I will speak about you, Larry, who have been doing this before Comicsgate and will probably be doing this after Comicsgate. You just have to keep doing what you love and keep reaching out to the people that love what you love, and that network can make things happen, as you can see. So just keep doing it. Don't give up, and look after each other, basically, is all that matters.
It's true. If you are here because of a surge of what you saw indie creators, and you see it dying, so you're gonna die. Just at the end, I was talking with George Alexopoulos. He's a great creator, and we were saying, hey, before all this Comicsgate stuff, before any of this huge surge of indie go-go's and whatnot, I was making comics 3 years before this, and I was making comics when I was in 4th grade. And once all of this dies down, I will still be here making comics, talking with you guys, and just having a good time, and just not letting any of the bull crap get in my way. And it's true. And here's the thing: let's say Mike and I were to have a huge disagreement right here. There's nothing wrong with having a difference of opinion. If Mike thinks something should be one way and I think something should be another way, we should be able to voice our disagreements with each other. And at the end of the day, if all we can get to is agree to disagree, that's fine. And then and it doesn't mean that we can't be friends. It doesn't mean that we can't talk to each other. We just agree to disagree. I have tons of friends who I just look at them and go, you know what? I really don't like your lifestyle. I don't like your choices that you make. But you know what? I agree to disagree. That's how you want to do you. You do you. I'll do me. And let's hang out. Let's go get a pizza.
That's right. And as an example, one of these trolley people who were talking about abusing some of the, representatives of the women in our community. One of these, this was a couple of months ago. But here's an idea, people. Instead of, and I'm just as guilty of being angry and responding on Twitter nastily to some of these people sometimes too. And that's what you feel compelled to do for your friends. And I'm not going to judge anybody for defending their friends. But for example, one of these little trolley types, I told him, I said, well, if you want to have an argument, why don't you come and have a real one? And so, like Tyler will tell you, I have a StreamYard that I use during the daytime. That's just a private space, just for creators to come and go if they like. It's not for live. It's just for us. Then I told him, I said, come in here. I'm working. You're pissing me off. So come in here and talk to me. And that way I can keep working instead of typing to you, and tell me what the problem is. And so like the guy came in for like 2 hours.
Wow.
And had a civilized conversation. He was just a young fella, like in his early 20s. And had a civilized conversation, and things change a lot when you get to meet somebody face to face as opposed to behind a keyboard. So even your worst enemies that you might think are out there, grab a hold of them sometime and say, no, don't run away. Come here, and make them sit down and talk, and you might surprise yourself.
Exactly. No, I'm glad that you did that, because I feel like I'm not the only one. Whenever I have a disagreement with someone and I see they're just relentless and super rude, I go, hey, listen, here's a Google, back when Google Hangouts was a thing, I'd be like, hey, here's a Google Hangouts link right now. I've got 5 hours. I'm ready. Like, let's just talk this out. If you want to do it live so that I can't say that you said this and you didn't, we'll do it live just to have it on record, and let's hash it out. And at the end of the day, we'll probably agree more than we disagree. And luckily you talked to them. I've had a couple people just cower and not want to have the conversation, but we just need to have these. We need to have these conversations face to face. We need to learn. We can't we can't be behind a keyboard. We can't be keyboard warriors, guys. If you have, oh yeah,
and it won't always. You're right, Tyler. It won't always work. Like, you can reach out to these people. It won't always work, but there is a few. And I'm not going to embarrass the guy or whatever. And it's not. I don't consider it to be a win for me. It's not why I'm bringing it up. But the guy follows me and follows a whole bunch of people that he never followed before, and he considers himself to be a Fandom Menacer now. And I don't consider that to be a win for me. Mm-hmm. I consider that to be a win for him, because he told me a few weeks after he, had this turnaround, he wrote me back and said, this space is the only space where I feel like I can breathe now. And he's only like 23 years old. So for me, that doesn't say something about me. That says something about my community, because I had like a 2-hour conversation with the guy, and then he went off in the community and participated with a whole bunch of other people and experienced the community. So all I did was just open the little door for him. That's all. But
I think that's all. I think, and what you did was you opened up. You had a loving hand. You're like, hey, listen, we don't want any of this. We don't. I don't want any of this. I want us to come to terms with each other. And if anyone here, part of the FERC gang, part of the Draw and Talk community, if you guys ever have something where you go, Tyler, I don't think you should have said that. Tyler, are you going a little too far with this? Please reach out to me. We have a Discord. Sometimes things go awry, and I'll get a DM and I'll be like, hey, Tyler, and you know what? I will address it, and we'll get this problem. We'll get it solved. I'll give my opinion every time, because you have to. We're all people, and we all love these things. While we end this, because it's super late for you, Mike. I don't know how you're.
I'm usually working pretty much all the time. I'm just starting here now. I just want to give a few mentions after you're done with your spiel.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Bud.
All right, so we got Demons Volume 3, which is currently on Indiegogo. It was supposed to come out tomorrow, but Mike and I are having a good time, and we figured let's just hit this launch button, and if you want to back it right now, you totally can. It'd be really cool to get us fully funded by the end of the week. These are what the books look like. Let me just single screen it real quick. These are what the books look like. Okay, they're nicely bound. They're really thick. All the art is fully colored. I put them into nice Gemini boxes so that the pages don't get crinkled or anything. We really take care. My wife and I package it. We really make sure that we take care of these books for you. And yeah, now's the best time to back you. I hope to get this project funded within the next week, which would be really exciting. And I picked like the worst time to do an Indiegogo because my wife could have our baby any moment in a couple weeks. So I might be in the hospital saying, "Hey guys, she's about to give birth. Go back my book."
That's all right.
Sure
I can give you a hand while you're gone. Send me unfinished panels with no lettering, like some of the early layers that you have, so that I can have stuff in my inbox, and I'll do up a couple of articles so I can pump you while you're busy with baby.
Hey, thanks. Actually, yeah, on the Indiegogo page, most of the artwork is unlettered.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Chuck's Raw Reviews. This is Chuck Pino in the house, and his wife is Wendy Gale. They just celebrated 20 years of marriage. They are goals. Nice. Congrats, you guys. Chuck, and also I'm probably going to be using Chuck for a future project, but we'll get into that in the future. But Chuck says, I've spoken to you about things before, and you always handle it well. Thank you, Chuck, for saying that. And then the Drunken Deity says, congratulations. No, thank you. Thank you. It's I've done nothing. My wife's done all the work. I've just been chilling out, playing Skyrim and making comics. Allison says, are you going to ditch the 24-hour comic for baby birth? Only if that baby comes, but if not, guys, this Saturday and Sunday, me and Allison and a few other crazy people are going to be doing the 24-hour comic book challenge. I know it happens in the first week of October. I just don't want to risk it. So me and Allison are going, and a couple others are going to be drawing and streaming for 24 hours. We're going to be making, we're all going to be making our separate 24-page comics. We're going to be streaming for 24 hours. I kid you not. We will have multiple streams. We'll probably have to do 3 or 4 streams because YouTube has limits, but we will be streaming for 24 hours for this 24-hour comic book challenge while pimping out Demons Volume 3 currently on Indiegogo, but we are still probably just going to be drawing, and who knows, you might see us sleeping at 3 a.m. on our drawing desks because we gave up. It's absolutely nuts. Allison and I are crazy. Anyone else who joins us is crazy, but we are going to do this and have a good time. And then Larry LP says, now I'll be comic. I pretty much missed all of this, so I'll have to go back and watch later. LP, you are freaking awesome. D says, you guys are incredible. So this is the last time I'm going to pimp out the Demons Volume 3 campaign for tonight. Demons Volume 3 currently on Indiegogo. I'll see you guys also tomorrow night. I'll be doing a stream as well. It's for the Demons Volume 3 unofficial launch party, even though technically this is the launch right now. And yeah, it's awesome. Let's see. Kinma says, I wish I could stay up for 24 hours. My body just can't do it anymore. I can't. My body can't do it anymore, but hey, we're going for this. And Allison says she's going to be doing it. She's going to be streaming it over Twitch. So when the links come out, you guys can follow Allison as well. So thanks, guys. Now I turn the time over to Mike. He's got a few shout outs.
I just wanted to say to everybody out there that may or may not be listening, the Phantom Menace project is happening. So any artists out there that should approach us for chapter artworks and anything and ideas that they may have for upcoming volumes, so just send a DM to any of us. Anybody in the community can help us out. All sorts of community members chat with each other every day, so collaborate with them. I just want to say that Data Racer and Ichibaka and others catalog and archive our experience every single day, and they work really hard while they're doing it, so please check out and support their work if you can. Donald DeLay, Tug, and Yellow Flash have always been very kind to me, and I try not to bug them very often with any of my work, and so my thanks to them when they do respond. It's very busy. I understand for everyone, and I thank you. Bleeding Fool, I want to thank for giving me a platform. Overlord Doomcock, Gary at Nerdrotic, Jeremy at Geeks and Gamers and the whole crew, World Class Bullshitters, Uncle Ethan, of course, Anna and Jesse especially, Larry at Niobe Comics, Ruin the Man Baby and Fan Menace Girl, The Big Wang at Angus Reviews, Thor, Wonder Girl, our favorite Stephanies, the Janice and Kenobi varieties, Midnight at Dark Comics, Mr. President, the only one, Abu Nas, Chris Knight, Mary, Mara and the Gang, Stephen Walton at Chaos, CB Smallwood, Kung Fu Flip, Robert Willing at StarCraft, and I hope that all is well with our friend Tristan at Nerdette's Newsstand. She's taking real life priorities right now, and we haven't heard from her in a few days, but I hope all is well. And obviously a special shout out to our favorite guys over at the Ribbit and Bigot Show. Keep it green. And thank you very much for having me on. Of course, Tyler, I'm a real admirer of your work for a very long time, and I am very happy to have a chance to sit and talk with you.
No, for sure, for sure. No, this has been an awesome conversation. I'm glad that we were able to talk about things that I've been wanting to talk about. I've been wanting to talk about this question: has fandom gone too far for a while? And I feel like we honestly hit on the bullet points I wrote down, months ago. And so I'm really grateful for Mike being on here. LP says, "How about a show with both me and Mike, and we can tell you tales of old."
Trouble, more like.
Trouble. Jose Sanchez asks you, Mike, do you guys need help writing scripts for the volumes, or are you guys just looking for artists currently?
Anybody that wants to help with any aspect of it, I'm pretty much finished with volume 1. Steven's a pretty prolific writer, and so for me, it begins mostly with editing. It's just mounting it into a format for this size book, and to make sure that I have my word count on every page proper. I don't want people getting, like I said, I don't want people falling asleep on a page. But of course, I've rewritten almost everything that I comb through, and proofreading, and I've never worked on one piece in one giant, in big sections like this. So there's a lot of things that I'm going to be making mistakes over, and I would like to have people looking over my shoulder. It really is a big work. And so, I have 5 or 6 people that are helping now from the community. Everybody involved, just so that everyone knows, I've learned from my indie creators. And so everybody involved will sign an NDA until November 1st, if that's possible. If anybody's interested to be involved in that way, just send me a note on Twitter. It's at 60Recce, is RECCE. And, we can just go from there, but that's up to you guys. I could certainly use the help and appreciate it.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being part of the FERC gang, for subscribing, for liking the stream. Thanks for listening to Mike and I just rant and just go for it for like the last, hour, minutes and 30. Yeah. Ichthus says, oh, we still got questions, man, for you. Ichthus says, do you need artists with a certain art style and following to be part of the project?
No, I was thinking like caricature art. If you remember old 19th century storybook art, where they would have a small pencil caricature style art at the face page in front of every opening chapter. So like if you had 5 chapters, it'd be like 5 little interior drawings. I was thinking of flattering community-based artworks of a caricature type, but flattering caricatures, not derogatory ones, obviously, as chapter facing illustrations. So that's something that I had in mind. So if people are interested in making caricature art of people that are known in the community and they want to whip them my way in a quick little mock-ups, by all means, send them along.
All right, guys, we're going to end the show here. And I lied. We'll do one last plug. Demons Volume 3, now launched on Indiegogo. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night. We'll have another fun live show for you. And then on Wednesday, we'll have a pre-recorded show on a very interesting topic I think you guys will like. And then this month is crazy. We're now in Indiegogo season. We are now it's hectic. It's hectic. So it's fun. All right, guys. You guys have a good night. Just hit all the wrong buttons.
There we go.
All right, there we go. All right, guys. Peace out. I end the broadcast now. And